When we're in the subconscious, the environment is from the memories and the adaptation of the memories that are ours in our mind access area. When you're in the superconscious state, then you're subject to the influences of all, the all. The whole of being, of all being, God included, you see. You're subject to the full mind of God. And when you're in the conscious state, you're reacting to the physical dimension around you. So, for instance, the person who's asleep is quite difficult to wake up because you're trying to invade the subconscious with the consciousness of the room we're in, the bed we're in, the person you're in. You're trying to wake them up. Say, hey, wake up, you're dreaming, wake up. It's a nightmare. You're invading that with the conscious mind. And, well, of course, usually, you succeed. And they wake up, oh, yes, it was a dream. Oh, thank you, love. When we're in the world, our normal awake state, what we call normal, when sun's up, most of it anyway, hopefully, and we're wandering around, our mind is subject to the conscious world, the material plane. We're not in tune with the superconscious in general. There might be the odd arhat, saint that is, but most of us, most of the time, are not. And we're not in the subconscious state, although we can find that we drop into that when there's a certain monotony in the world. And this is what happens, of course, in poor meditation, that far from going into a superconscious state, you drop into a subconscious semi-dreaming state. And really, that's not doing you much good at all. The mind's wandering, and if you're not careful, you fall asleep. And we've experienced that, haven't we? Well, I suppose we have anyway. The conscious life, then, is what we have been calling life. And what, in the words of Jesus, is not. If you would enter into life, you need to keep the commandments. In other words, you need to steel yourself and strengthen yourself and follow the rules that resist much of the conscious inclinations that come in the material world. So you stay faithful to your path, spirituality, faithful to your wife. You're going to work even though you'd rather not because you feel tired, or you'd rather go fishing or whatever it is you do, you'd rather stay at home and do the garden and be with the wife or something. Do you see the conscious life, to survive in it, you need to keep various rules and consistencies despite the pull of the environment around you. You feel tired, you don't want to get up, but you need to get up. from the point of view of the conscious life continuing. You know, you need to earn a living and eat and all the other things. So the conscious life is actually not living at all. It's what we've defined to be living, which is acting by a reaction to all the forces upon us that exist in the phenomenal materialistic time, space, matter dimension of the world. And that's what we've been calling life. But it's much more like a stone rolling downhill, which bounces from boulder to boulder as it hits another stone and boils into the air and bounces again. And, you know, who knows where it's going to land at the bottom. But at the bottom it's going to land, the thing, you know. Which is called death, where it stops bouncing down the hill because it's got to the bottom of the hill, so to speak. So that's not true life. True life is where you actually take some command of what's going on. You experience the control, a mind imposition upon the life, so to speak, that you seem to be experiencing. And heaven, the superconscious state, you're going to be doing that completely. You are proof against all external negative influence, if you like. You're open only to the harmony of the host of heaven, and it's a life that is transcendent compared to conscious life. And we touch on that when we're in love, and we touch on it when we're in worship and devotion. And possibly at other times too. I think we touch on that with regularities that we didn't particularly pursue. When we've been with someone or some place, or with some object like the car, for a long time, it starts to become part of us. Even if it's a difficulty, it's, you know, no longer bringing whatever benefit we thought it was bringing. It's somehow part of us. We don't want to throw it off. We don't want to dump it. It's very sad when the relationship of such comes to an end. You know, we sell the car, or we move house, or the wife goes, you know. Bad. Because the bonding, the reality, has been felt simply through the passage of time in the conscious. We have a longing for the permanence of relationship, which is so fundamental to qualify to be in heaven. So the misunderstanding of non-attachment is a great shame. For we are to be attached unquestionably to the eternal, to the good, and unattached to that which is harm, loss, death, ruin, very unattached, very seeking ways of avoiding such. Yeah. So, for instance, I mean, it is very bad to be pursuing things that are going to be harmful. Very good to be pursuing things that are good, truly good, and eternal, and of God. And we should most certainly be attached to such purpose. It's crucial. It is the very key to the door of heaven. So we guard our faith. We guard our perception of what is right, what we should do. We're faithful and true in as far as we can be, and we increasingly determined to be so determined. Well, in simple ways, this means that our daily living becomes not a reaction to the stimuluses around us, but a thoughtful, awareness and consciousness of such influences and what is best to do. So a great calmness helps here, despite whatever the storms are that may be raging, and an inner peace in which we contemplate what is the godly reaction to such circumstances. We start to get a resistance to simply falling to the temptations of knee-jerk, fast reactions to the changes in the environment around us. We learn patience, we learn grace, forgiveness, and so on. We learn to forego immediate pleasure in order to gain long-run joy and blessedness. We increasingly move towards the superconscious state from conscious daily living, which is not a consciousness really at all. It's simply a reaction to the senses that we're given here in the material world, which you do not have in the subconscious state. The material world can't invade it. You don't feel heat and cold, you don't feel pain, but you do feel all the emotions, and you have all the thoughts that you have gleaned from living, and you're blending them into a subconsciousness, a labyrinth of chaos, really. And you're trapped in that subconscious state while you're in it. So, of course, it doesn't take a too exceptional a person to say, well, can I start to become aware when I'm dreaming? And you may well have had the experience of steering the dream because you're aware it's a dream. Or you're aware there's something strange going on and you start to exercise some supernatural powers. And, you're floating, you're flying, you're swimming when you could never swim in the conscious life, but you do in the dream. Things like that. You start to exercise a sovereignty in the conscious, in the subconscious. And that may well cause you to wake up, of course. And that may be your intention. Do you see you've brought a certain mindfulness that is over and above the subconscious dreaming state? You brought some of the conscious world into it, and you may well wake up, of course, by doing so. And we need to wake from the conscious state into the superconscious state. And now and again we get glimpses of doing that, as in worship and falling in love and so forth. Not sure if there's many other circumstances which it happens. Might have to think about that. Yes. What do you think? Thank you, Heavenly Father.